Today, we're going to use a great local product. We're going to use Wild Hive Farm. He calls it stone ground polenta, but I'm going to call it grits. We're going to make some shrimp and grits with this local polenta because you could do local during this time. We're going to be using wild Gulf shrimp. If you go to rickorlando.com and go to my recipe page, I have sources for getting these, but most of the good places in our area, good shopping places, if you ask them, they'll bring them in for you. It may take a couple of days. So we're going to get started. So we have to make our grits. They're going to take the longest. And what I'm going to do here is I've got 4 cups. I'm going to make a cup of grits. So I have 4 cups of boiling water. So it's a 4-to-1 ratio. This is seasoned with salt and pepper. I want to get a spoon. I like the little wooden spoon with the hole in it for this. And I'm going to sprinkle it in a little bit at a time so I don't make lumps. And this takes about 15 to 18 minutes. So what you want to do when you first start it is you want to give it a couple of good stirs and really let it get going. And then once it gets going, we can move it to a slower place and let it cook slowly. What you want to do when you first start it is you want to give it a couple of good stirs and really let it get going. And then once it gets going, we can move it to a slower place and let it cook slowly. What we're going to do next is we're going to talk about shrimp. We never ever in my restaurants use farmed Asian shrimp for anything important because they're not flavorful, they're not delicious, and frankly a lot of them are suspect. They're raised basically in cesspools. Don't buy them. It's not worth it. If you see shrimp for $5.99 a pound, good luck, okay? These are going to cost you more like about 10 to 12, but they're worth it. These are U15, and you want to get them with the shell on. You can even get them from Louisiana Seafood with the head on. So they're easy to peel. Hold them by the last section of the tail there. Give it one little turn with your finger. Run your finger like that, go like that. Take off the tail. I take a little paring knife and just go right down there, dip it in water. You can pull any vein out that is disturbing you. There's nothing dangerous about eating the vein. That is, the fact that we know it's the poop chute kind of grosses us out, but it's not going to hurt you. But the shells are crucial. Shrimp are ectoskeletal, which means the shells are the bones. So just like making stock for chicken or meat from the bones, you want to do that with your shrimp also. Same thing with lobster and crab. We're going to make shrimp butter or shrimp oil. It's going to have a ton of flavor, and we're going to use it for all of our cooking for this recipe. So I'm going to put about a 1/4 cup of grapeseed oil. We're going to put the shells right in that oil. We're going to brown them up, add some butter. That's going to be our delicious shrimp oil. Shrimp butter is starting to smell good already. You will find when you make any kind of crustacean butter, whether it's shrimp, if you eat lobster, save the shells. You can do it with lobsters. The whole house smells like shellfish. So look, my shrimp shells picked up color. They're smelling really good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add about 1/3 cup of butter. As this butter melts and cooks in there, the butter fat's going to absorb that shrimp flavor. And once this is done, you let it infuse for a while and you strain it. But you can keep it in the fridge covered for indefinitely. Not indefinitely, say 3-4 weeks. Inhale, everybody. Oh my God, it smells just like roasted shrimp. That I made a batch before we started because we don't want to keep you here all day, do we? Well, it could be fun. So let's start our sauce for our shrimp and grits. Okay, we're going to do a Creole style. Now there's South Carolina style, there's Alabama style, there's all types of shrimp and grits. This is going to have kind of a focus on the Creole Trinity. So I have onions, sweet bell pepper, celery, scallions. I've got my Cajun seasoning. So we're going to get this started. So what we want to do is we're going to use our shrimp oil, because again, it's going to give us a lot of flavor as the oil that we use to saute everything in. Let that heat up a bit, and then we're going to add our onions, about equal amounts, our bell pepper, our celery, and our scallions. So we got this thing going. So what we want to do when we start our saute is we want to hit it with a pinch of salt. A little bit of salt in the beginning of the saute helps to cook your vegetables, and it also helps to get flavor in your dish, not on your dish. I'm not a real big fan of salting my food at the end, although I'm not one of those dicky chefs that won't let you have a salt and pepper shaker because you can do what the hell you want. But you should always taste my food first because I season in layers as we go. So this is starting to get nice and sweaty here, which we like. We love that word, sweat the onions, right? So now we're going to add our little seasonings to this. Remember this, guys? This is my Cajun seasoning. Keep your eyes out on my Facebook page, my Instagram page, my website. We are about to launch an Amazon market, but meanwhile, I still have some. So this is important, right? Look, my onions, my celery, my peppers are nice and shiny. I'm going to add a little seasoning now to taste. I added about a teaspoon, but yeah, we're making enough for 4 or 5 people here. And we're going to let that cook in. See what's happening? The spices are cooking right into these guys here on nice and high. All right, look. Here's our vegetables. They get nice and tender. What we're going to do now is we're going to add a little bit of perfume, a little bit of something that only Rick would do, but I do. We're going to add liqueur. We're going to add anise flavored liqueur. We're going to perk up this beautiful flavor. So I have in front of me real Nola absinthe, Pernod, Sambuca. Now Sambuca is considerably sweeter than these two, so I would go lighter on Sambuca, but we're not going to use the Sambuca. We'll drink that later. We're going to use the Pernod. What we're going to do, to be safe here, we're going to move it off the heat a bit. It's going to flame up a wee bit, and we're going to add about an ounce or so of this to it. What this does, it adds a sweet, fennelly flavor that's going to make your shrimp taste that much better. All right? Get them in there. Oh, it didn't flame. Good. Because I pulled it off the heat. So it's cooking out with a little bit of alcohol in it. Listen, if you don't want to put the alcohol in there, that's your life. You do whatever you want. But this is not going to kill you. And my kids have been eating it since they were growing up. So now we're going to add a little bit of stock. I'm using chicken stock. If you had shrimp stock, it'd be great. But just a little bit of broth. Just enough to wet it up. Oh my God, it smells good already. And then we're going to add tomato. This is tomato puree. I'm going to pull this all together. I'm going to let this come to a boil. And what we're going to do is we're going to season it now. We're going to add a couple of things. We're going to add a nice big handful of parsley. Parsley's great because not only is it healthy and delicious, but it also counteracts garlic breath, and there's a lot of garlic in that Cajun. And I have thyme. This is dry thyme, but this is thyme that we grow every year, and we dry, so it's got a nice punch to it. Really delicious. And then we're going to add a little bit of acid. Do acid. No, we're going to add a little acid because when you're making rich dishes, and this will have cream, you want a little bit of acidity. And the acidity that we're going to add here, we're going to add, instead of vinegar, we're going to add a few drops of Tabasco. Not necessarily for heat. Tabasco pops the palate. If a little bit in there opens it up, and a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. And you will taste that invisibly. It'll make it delicious without you actually saying, ooh, I taste Tabasco. All right? All right, so now we have our shrimp that we're going to cook. Now, here's another great secret. You don't want to just throw shrimp into sauce, because when you caramelize shrimp, it's just like browning chicken or browning meat or browning vegetables. You bring the flavor forward, and that's what we want to do. So, ooh, those grits look good. The grit sauce is boiling nicely. Give it a quick stir, and we're going to get ready to do our shrimp. So we're going to go back to our little shrimp oil. Hey, if you don't have the shrimp oil, you can still do this too. A little oil and butter, whatever. And we're going to coat the pan just enough and let it get hot till like it starts to shimmer a little bit, you know? You see that little ripple? And then we're going to take our shrimp. I took the tails off, and we're going to put them down so they're not overlapping each other, right? Nice even layer of shrimp. I'd say 4 to 5 shrimp per hungry person. Is that you hungry person? Yes, you are. Francois, you hungry? Great. And of course, we're going to season them. So we're going to take a little bit of salt, not a lot. This is what we call a 2-finger pinch, 3-finger pinch, 4-finger pinch, and then a handful. And we're going to let that cook a bit. And we want to go back to our Cajun seasoning, if I can remember where I put it. Here it is. And we do the same thing. A little sprinkle of Cajun seasoning. I'm going to get a little caramelization. Now that my shrimp sauce is at a nice rolling boil, we're going to add the layers of depth. We're going to add some rich flavor. First thing we're going to add is some corn. Now, you may not have this in your house, and I don't expect you to, but if you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see a recipe for preserving the local corn. So this is Story Farm's corn from last year. Grab the video. Don't forget, August, September, get some corn, freeze it. I still have a few bags left. We're going to add a little corn to this because corn is just delicious with grits. They kind of go and counteract each other and create a sweet and savory flavor. And this is optional, but we're going to add a little bit of cream. I love the cream in the shrimp and grits because it makes that rich and creamy experience. Right? I'm going to work that in. Meanwhile, of course, I'm letting the shrimp caramelize. I don't want them to be just white. All right? Wow. Let's take a look at our grits. See what's happening now? You can almost pull them away from the side of the pan. That means they're just about done. You want them to have a little texture, but you really don't want them al dente. I want to remind you of something. Dried corn, dried barley, dried lentils, dried beans. If they're not cooked enough, they're indigestible. They just make you fart, and they're not delicious. So don't be shy. We're not stir-frying dried beans. We're not stir-frying polenta. We're actually cooking it till it's creamy. So cook it all the way, all right? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, see what's happening with my shrimp here? Starting to get some caramelization, which we like. A little color, nice and rosy. I'm going to turn them over. All right, now we don't want to kill them. We don't want to overcook them. But we want to give them a chance to cook. So I'm going to take some of this delicious shrimp and grits sauce, move it over, put it right onto the shrimp and let it tighten up. Might have a little bit of extra sauce. Oh, too bad. We'll have to eat it with something else. Throw it on some rice, pasta, whatever you want to do. Move it back there. Get this in here. And this is going to be done in no time. Add a little bit more parsley. And let's give it a taste, because you always want to taste. Oh my God. Does not need anything. Super delicious. So look, my shrimp are cooked. They're not overcooked, but they're opaque. My grits are pulling away from the pan now. Can you see that? Look. Put the spoon in there and they literally just pull away. So they're rich and creamy grits. Let's give a nice dish of grits like that. Now that it's in the pan, you see what's happening? The cream is starting to reduce. We don't want it to be thick, thick, thick like a Alfredo sauce. Don't get me started on that. But we want to get a nice creamy texture to it. So let's take 4 nice shrimp. Oh, sorry, that's 5. A nice spoonful of the sauce. Ladle it on top. Give it a wipe. Garnish it with some green onion, nice and fresh. It adds nice freshness. And some parsley. And there, my friends, is a gorgeous dish of shrimp and grits.